सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओ भगवान, so even though the Upanishad says that you should know Brahma, that should, that should, even though it is associated with know, you should know, even though that should is associated, is used, but still it doesn't prove that knowing is an action. Like you should go, you should come, you should do this, you should do that. These are all actions. So whenever we use the word should and must and ought to, have to, these are all related to actions. You have to work, you ought to work, you have to do, you ought to do, should do, must do. These are all. In Sanskrit they are called vidhilingas, meaning implying an action to be done. But when Vedanta says you should know, that word should doesn't prove that knowing is an action. You should know means you should know a reality as it is. Now, knowing a reality doesn't add to the reality. Knowing a reality doesn't add to the reality, it also doesn't take away anything from the reality. So, if you are not adding anything to the truth, if you are not taking anything away from the truth, you are not bringing about any change in the truth, then it is not an action. You are only knowing it as it is, knowing yourself as you are. So, knowing oneself does not come under action. This is clear. Like when the scientists know the scientific facts, they don't add to the facts. They don't take anything away from those facts. They just know them as they are, so that they are free from the ignorance about them. And if there are problems which are born of ignorance, those problems go away when there is no ignorance about the reality. Thus, when a human being understands himself, whatever problems he felt like fear of death, etc., these problems he will be free from in knowing his nature as it is, as an eternal being, as unnegatable being. Because The unnegatability is what is constantly evident. Negatability is not evident. Negatability is only a conclusion. Negatability is a conclusion, whereas the subject doesn't get negated is what is evident. Eternity is what is evident. How do you say that? Because we are there when the mind is, we are there when there is no mind. That is also an experience. That must be taken into account. So waking is our experience, dream is our experience, and negation of the mind also is our experience, the deep sleep. So the one who is experiencing the three states is there as the experiencer of the three states. Where does he get negated? You are there with the thought, you are there when there is no thought. So the one who is there with the thought and also independent of thought, how can he have negation? Only thought has negation. So if I equate myself with the thought, then I come to think that with the negation of the thought, I am also negated. So this thinking creates a problem, fear. That I disappear with the thought creates the fear of death, etc. So these fears are gone away, these fears just disappear when we understand ourselves as unnegatable reality. Thus, the Shruti says, know thyself as you are evident. Know yourself as experienced by you. Know yourself as experienced by you, not know yourself as you are, as is concluded by you. Know yourself as you are constantly experiencing yourself as a conscious experiencer. Therefore, when the Shruti says you should know yourself, that should doesn't prove knowing as an action, but it is meant to help man, discover the value of knowledge. Thus, you should know it means you should understand the value of knowing and then try to know it. That is why the next it is said here, Kimarthani Tarhi Atmavare Drashtavyaha Shrotavyaha Ityadini Vidichayani Vachanani. Then Kimarthani, what is the purpose of the Vidhi, the shoulds, this mandatory verbs. Kimarthani Tarhi, what is the purpose of the Vedic statements like Atmavare Drashtavyaha, Atma should be known. Shrotavyaha, it should be heard about. Mantavyaha, it should be reflected upon. Nidityastavyaha, it should be deeply reflected upon until understanding. Ityadini, is prakar ki vidhi chayani, looking like shoulds, looking like mandatory verbs. Vidhi chayani, vachanani. So what is the purpose of the verbs like you should know, you should hear, you should reflect, you should meditate, you should discern. Meditate means you should discern, you should think, you should reflect, you should reason, you should understand. Should. Why does the Shruti use the word should? If knowing is not an action, For that, here he says, Swabhavikam Pravritti Vishaya Vimukhi Karanarthani Iti Brumaha. Vedanta should say Atma is eternal. That is all right. It is not a Vidivakya. You are eternal. You are not a form. You are non-dual. This universe is a mere perception. You are the truth. You are Brahman. This is called Shruti. But when it says you should know it, it becomes an advice. It becomes a prescription. You should know it. What is a pramanam? Pramanam should state the nature of a fact. Atma is Brahma. Atma is Jagat Karanam. Atma is Brahma. Jagat is Mithya. You are Brahma. You are not the form. You are not the mind. You are consciousness. There is no second to you. This is called stating the nature of the person as it is. As it is understood by the Shruti. But when it says you should know it, then what is it? Is it a statement of fact or a statement of advice? You should know. Is it a statement of fact? You should know. It is a statement of advice. Not able to follow. You should know is not a statement of fact. Hey Rama, aap khana kha lo. What is it? Statement of fact. Statement of advice. Khana khao. खाओ, ऑफिस जाओ, लड़ाई मत करो, ये करो, वो करो, ये ना करो, वो ना करो. These are all what? Statements of advices. And whenever they are statements of advices, they are all meant to make a person follow certain advices. And following advices means doing actions. Following advices means doing actions. You should know, Atma should be known, etc., etc. Why this drashtavya pratyaya vidichayani? For that he says, this should is used not for proving knowing as an action, but it is meant to tell man, swabhavika pravritti vishaya vimukhi karanarthani. It is meant to help man switch his attention from the beaten tracks of actions and results. It is meant to help man switch his attention from the struggle for happiness in the world to himself. It is meant to help man withdraw his attention from the search for happiness outside and then direct his attention to himself. It is meant to help him withdraw from the external pursuits. And withdrawal from the external pursuits is an action, because it is Purusha Tantra. Like to do an action is one does an action by one's choice. One also avoids an action by one's choice. You can decide to perform an action. You can decide not to perform an action. Therefore, doing is by one's choice. Not doing also by one's choice. Therefore, withdrawing from the impulses, withdrawing oneself from the external pursuits, That withdrawal is based upon one's will, one's choice. It comes under karma. Therefore, because it is karma, should can be used. So you should know doesn't prove knowing as an action, but the should is used only to help man withdraw from the external pursuits in order to know himself, which knowing of course is not an action, but withdrawing from the world, withdrawing from the materialistic pursuits, meaning withdrawing from the search for happiness outside. This will make me happy, that will make me happy. This age-old syndrome, this age-old search for happiness in God's creation. And God's creation इतनी बड़ी है, एक जीव को भी अभी तक happiness नहीं दे पाया. भगवान ने सृष्टि किया, इतनी बड़ी सृष्टि किया, लेकिन एक जीव के लिए भी फुलफिलमेंट नहीं मिला. नहीं समझा? इतनी लंबी चौड़ी सृष्टि किया भगवान ने. This creation hasn't made even one jiva happy. Fulfilled. Happy means fulfilled. Creation can't really, this creation cannot give you fulfillment. You have to know the truth of this creation, the source of the creation, which source happens to be yourself, the subject. In this manner, withdrawal from the materialistic, withdrawing from the search for happiness outside, that withdrawal is based on one's choice. I have to choose, I have to decide. I have to decide. That the creation can't give me happiness is a fact. That is different. That the creation can't make anybody fulfillment is a fact. But after knowing that fact, I have to withdraw. That withdrawal from the search for happiness outside, that withdrawal is Purushatantra Vyapara. That is a human effort. I have to use my will and then switch. Like, telling lies is bad, is a fact. But to withdraw from telling lies is an effort. Understand? Is an effort. Telling lies is bad, is a fact. Is it not? That is knowledge. One may have the knowledge that telling lies is bad. Telling lies is bad. A person may know it, but yet he may continue to tell lies. But if he should not tell lies, then he has to exercise his will, exercise his choice, and that withdrawal from telling lies is what? Effort. It is a Purushatantra Vyapara. Similarly, that this world cannot give me fulfillment, that this world can't give anybody fulfillment, leave alone you. It can't give fulfillment to anybody. It can help you live on, but survive. Air can help me live, food can help me to live, water. These are all just, it gives me, they can really keep me going as a physiological individual, but not fulfillment. So that the world cannot give me fulfillment is a fact, but withdrawing from it is a human effort. It is a Purusha Tantra Vyapara. And wherever there is Purusha Tantra Vyapara, you can use the word vidhi, should. You should withdraw. You should know yourself that should must mean you should withdraw from your age-old wrong searches for happiness. You should withdraw from your known ways of search for happiness and then know yourself. So knowing yourself is not an action, whereas withdrawing is an action. It's an action means I am using my choice. Even to know oneself, one has to use one's will. That is a different matter, but still it is not an action because I am knowing it as it is. Okay. That is why here it is said, Swabhavika pravritti vishaya vimukhi karanarthi niti thaniti brumaham. Should is used only for nivritti from the swabhavika pravrittis. That is a Purusha Tantra. Ohi bahirmukha pravartate purushaha ishtam me bhuyat anishtam ma bhuditi nacha tatra atyantikam purushartham labhate tam atyantika purushartha vanchinam swabhavika karya karana sanghata pravritti gocharat vimukhi kritya pratyagatma srotastaya pravartayanti atmavare drashtavyaha ityadini. Oh, very beautifully he explains, Bhashyakara explains every point so well. This individual, what does he do? Yogi Bahirmukha. He is Bahirmukha. Bahirmukha means he is all the time looking out. He is all the time looking out. Looking out for a pleasure in this object, looking out for a pleasure here, looking out for a pleasure there. Some entertainment through this object, some entertainment through that object. So I want to be entertained by the world all the time. I look for an object to entertain me. I expect the world either to give me sense gratification or I want it to entertain me emotionally, some sensory gratification or some emotional gratification. So I want the world to gratify me sensorily and emotionally so that I find some fulfillment. Thus I am all the time looking for something. All the time looking for something to entertain me. This approach of looking for something to entertain me physically and mentally, this looking out for something is called being a Bahirmukha. Bahirmukha means extroverted. Extroverted means every individual is extroverted. So this jiva in this creation, wherever he is all the time looking out. And what does he think? Yogi bahirmukha pravartate. And he is all the time active. He is all the time active, looking for something which can entertain him. Purushaha, this jiva. And he is inwardly, he is all the time craving. Ishtam me bhuyat. May I get what I want? Anishtam ma bhut. May I keep away what I don't like. May I achieve what I like. May I avoid what I don't like. Anishtam ma bhut iti bahirmukha. In this manner, an individual is constantly craving and being active, looking for something which he likes, which can entertain him physically and mentally, emotionally. And now the Shruti comes and says, Nacha tatra atyantikam purushartham labhate. And not only that, and even though he looks for fulfillment all over creation, he doesn't get absolute fulfillment. He gets, a sense of, a temporary sense of fulfillment, which is not actually fulfillment. Atyantikam purushartham na labhate tatra. He doesn't get really fulfillment. Maybe he gets entertained, he feels nice. Physically he is entertained, he feels nice. Emotionally gets entertained, he feels nice. And intellectually also gets some entertained. So he feels little nice. So very, very passing moments of illusions of fulfillment. Just passing moments of, not even fulfillment, passing moments of just illusions of fulfillment. He gets. Na tatra atyantikam labhate, but he never gets fulfilled. I have got whatever I want, I don't need anything. In this manner, he doesn't feel fulfilled for eternity. So after gaining one object, he wants another object. That is very natural. Because the previous object hasn't given me fulfillment, therefore I look for something else. Or the more of the same thing, or something else. Thus, non-fulfillment is actually what is most prominent in the creation. When you look at humanity, what is most glaring in them is unfulfilled and then struggle. Unfulfilled and struggle. Ravana had already Mandodari. Why should he go after Sita ji? This is all what? He had conquered Devaloka. The whole creation used to fear at the very sight, the very name of Ram. But was he fulfilled? Hota nahi ji. Ramji was fulfilled because he had the vision about the sun. Even as a Vanvasi, he was filled. Therefore, fulfillment is not, so fulfillment doesn't come from the world. And this man experiences, and this Shastra also knows. Therefore, Shastra comes and gives advice to man. How does it advise? Like this. Nacha tatra atyantikam purushartham labhate tam atyantika purushartha vanchinam. And man is not going to give up until he finds the absolute fulfillment. You see, he is never He is not going to give up. Tam jivam atyantika purushartha vachinam. This jiva is constantly craving only for the absolute fulfillment. Absolute fulfillment means there is nothing more for me to gain. That kind of fulfillment. Where the very individuality is gone, where the sense of limitation is gone, sense of birth and death is gone, the sense of being non-eternal is gone, the sense of there being another thing is gone, the very sense of being comparable to others is gone. Where there is nothing other than oneself. So, he wants only that kind of absolute fulfillment. So suddenly supposing somebody gets, a few thousand crores on his platter. On a platter, Supposing somebody gets 1,000, 2,000, 10,000. Chalo, let me be more generous. 10,000 crores comes and falls on your lap. Is it fulfillment? No. It's kuch nahi hai. Then after that you will like to make it more. If hota nahi, again you have only do roti leke, ultimately the sense of individuality is there, the sense of mortality is there, the sense fear of death is there. Previously, in fact, when I had no money, I used to fear death less. Now, after getting a lot of money, I have desire to live and enjoy it. I used to get better sleep. Jada paisa mil gaya, now I don't want to leave it. Then I start dreaming, building up my life, and then even getting married to it. Some more people, they tell you the most easy. What is most easily understandable is that whatever man may, however long man may search for fulfillment, you can't get it from the creation. Fulfillment is the nature of the source of the creation. Fulfillment is not the quality of creation. Creation can't fulfill. Therefore, this human being is not going to give up the search for absolute fulfillment. And he searches for it in the creation and he can't get it. But he doesn't give up. Therefore, it becomes a struggle forever. Now, Shastra wants to help man. And then it arrests man's attention. My dear, you want absolute fulfillment and you are searching for it in the wrong place. You are searching for it in the creation. Therefore, tam atyantika purushartha vanchinam swabhavika karyakarana sanghata pravrutti gocharat vimukhi kritya. Vimukhi kritya means having arrested his attention from the search. He arrests man's attention from the search. There is no use of your searching in this world. You can use the creation for survival, but don't use the creation for your fulfillment. Use the creation for your survival. That's choiceless. But don't use the creation for your fulfillment. That it can't give. It arrests man's attention. That is called vimukhi kritya. Pratyagatma srotastaya, and directs his attention towards himself. Hey, look at yourself. The searcher. Who is this searcher? So helps him direct his attention to Pratyagatma. Pratyagatma srotastaya. Srotastaya means what? it helps him direct his attention to himself like a flow, like an unbroken flow. Are you able to follow? Like an unbroken flow means what? Try to give your attention, a steady attention to yourself. That steady attention is what is called Srotastaya, like a srot. Like Ganga is flowing. So it keeps on flowing until it reaches the ocean. This is called srot. On the way, Gangaji doesn't, get into two minds. Should I go forward or should I go again backward? No, it keeps on flowing until it finds its goal, the ocean. In the same manner, an individual has to switch his attention from the world to himself and then make himself the topic until he understands. Making oneself the topic of one's reasoning, reflection and understanding, making oneself the topic until it is properly understood is called Srotastaya. Pravartayanti. The scriptures inspire man, prompt man to look at himself. Look at himself. Therefore, it helps man to withdraw his attention from the usual pursuits, the usual method of finding, the usual method of search for happiness. The usual method means the known method of search for happiness. The known method is searching for it in the objects. Pravartana. And then they say to this jiva, Atma vare drashtavyaha. Hey, you have to know yourself. You have to know yourself means you better stop your known methods of search. Better know. Achhe kaam karo. Supposing, it's like saying, somebody is wasting time. Somebody is wasting time. और उनको कहते हैं, पिताजी कहते हैं बच्चा से, his teenage son, कुछ अच्छा काम किया करो. What does it mean? Don't waste time. Something like that. Similarly, you have to know yourself. Means what? Don't waste unnecessarily time. Don't search for your happiness where it doesn't exist. Don't search for happiness where it doesn't exist. You're not going to get fulfillment from either the objects or from the people. Because how can you get fulfillment from another person? Because he is also looking for fulfillment. This is a big logic. If you don't get the vairagyam from this, ये तो बहुत ही जरूरी है. So I want to get fulfillment from A, but A also wants to get fulfillment from me. How can we? I am empty. I want the other person to make me happy. And he is also looking for somebody else to make himself happy. Now, how can I expect that person who is unfulfilled to make me feel fulfilled? Everybody is a searcher. One searcher. Everybody is searching, groping. Everybody is groping. When everybody is going in the wrong direction, who can show the direction? Right direction. Every jiva is groping. If everybody is groping, they're all blind as it were. Everybody is groping, then who is going to show right direction? Nobody can show the right direction. Nobody can show the way in this world. I am telling you, this is the truth. बहुत बड़ी बात है. No individual can show the way to happiness to another individual. No individual, no jiva can be a guide to another jiva. Because every jiva is blind. No jiva doesn't know where the fulfillment lies. Therefore, when one jiva gives guidance to another jiva, that guidance is nothing but, what he thinks right, not what is right. Same thing. In fact, all jivas give the same advice. Do you know what is that advice? Khub kaam karo, khub paisa kamao, khao, pivo, acha jivo, bas, jao. But this is the guidance. Nobody gives any other advice than this. Every father gives the same advice. Khub kaam karo, kamao, how? Is that fulfillment? That's not fulfillment. Therefore, the only guide is scripture, please. Shastra, Shabda Praman. It is not like another book written by a prophet. It is not like that. It is not a prophet written book. Then definitely that will become another, it is written by another groper. Understand? A groper written book is no different. See, a groper writes a book. It becomes popular. Then it becomes another kind of a scripture. It is not a prophet written book. It is Shabda Pramanam. Because what it says is not in the form of belief. It is in the form of one's existence. Like science is not belief. Vedanta is not belief. Science is talking about the world that is verifiable. The scientific statements are verifiable as statements of facts. These statements of the Vedanta also are verifiable as the statements of fact about oneself. They are all statements of our own experience. And therefore, any book that talks about things which are unverifiable, which are only matters of belief, they are all written by gropers. Understand, Gropers. That is all called really various prophets. This doesn't have any prophet. This is not written by Shankaracharya. Shruti is not written by Shankaracharya or anybody. Or Veda Vyasa. There is no individual. In fact, every Acharya says, this is how we received from our teacher. And they would say, this is how I received from my teacher. And he says, and then who is the author? The author of the universe is the author of the Shruti. Whoever is the author of the eyes, whoever is the author of the Pratyakshadi Pramanas, whoever is the source of the Pratyakshadi Pramanas, the same is the author of the Shabda Pramana. Because the Chakshu, etc., the Pramanas, they are not authored by man. Sense organs are not created by man. Aina. Similarly, Shabda Pramanam being Pramanam, it is not created by another jiva. And therefore, the only guide that can really guide man is this Shabda Pramanam, Vedanta Pramanam. And therefore, that Vedanta says, hey, you better not search for your fulfillment outside. Use the creation for your comforts. No problem. Be wise enough to use the world to make yourself comfortable. But also understand, all your comforts will not give you fulfillment. Just to live comfortably, you can use the world. You can have 1 AC, 10 ACs. You can have excellent heaters. You can have good food. You can have excellent atmosphere. You can create heaven on the earth. And the heaven on the earth can make you live comfortably. Very comfortably. You can rid the earth of terrorism. You can create a heaven on the earth without terrorism, without corruption, without disease, without poverty. You can create heaven on the earth and still it can only make you live comfortably, but no fulfillment. वो पूर्णत्व नहीं आएंगे. That's not possible. And that purnatvam, that fulfillment, that fullness, that eternity, you have to discover as the nature of yourself. That's why here it says, Atma vari drashtavya ityadini tasyam atmanveshanaya pravrittasya aheyam anupadeyam cha atmatattvam upadishyate. And not only Vedanta says that don't search for your fulfillment outside. The fulfillment that you are searching for is your nature. The peace that you are searching for is your nature. And that about that nature you are ignorant and there is some misconception about it. Therefore you better look at yourself very closely. Not only it says so, it unfolds the nature, it educates man about what is his nature. That is why tasya atmanveshanaya pravrittasya. The one who is wanting to know himself. The first statement is that the Atyantika Sukham is not in the world. Atyantika Sukham, absolute peace, is your nature. Having heard this, then one becomes Atmanveshana. Previously he was Sukhanveshana. Now it is Atma, he becomes interested in knowing himself. If peace is my nature, then I must know myself. And once he becomes interested in understanding himself, the subject, then he becomes a student of Vedanta. That is called becoming a student of Vedanta. And as a student of Vedanta, he is taught by Vedanta. Vedanta teaches him about his nature as Aheyam Anupadeyam. It teaches the subject neither as something that can be lost, nor is it something that needs to be gained. Meaning what? It is already there. It is something that is there unnegatably. What is already there unnegatably is called Aheyam Anupadeyam. It is not something that I have to create. It's not something that I have to reach. It's not something that I have to change. It's not something that I have to purify. It is already there, and it is pure, and it is unnegatable, and it is non-dual. You are the truth. As the truth, it teaches man about himself as the ever-present truth. As the experiencer of thought and its negation. As the experiencer of the waking dream and their negation. Aheyam anupadeyam jatmatattvam upadishyate. So the self is taught to the person who is interested in knowing. Self is not taught as something to be reached. Truth is not taught as something to be reached. Truth is not taught as something to be created. The self is not taught as something to be purified. The self is not something that has to be modified. It doesn't say you are impure now, you have to make yourself pure. ये नहीं कहता. It doesn't say you are limited now, but after a long time you will become unlimited. No. You are already pure, you are already conscious being, you are already changeless, you are unnegatable, you are the truth. You have to correct your misconception, your vision about yourself. There is a faulty vision. What is that faulty vision? This conscious being who is the seer of the whole world, who is the seer of the waking, seer of the dream, and even experiencer of their negation, is equated with the form and thinks that I am only the form. This vision, distorted vision about the subject has to be corrected, and that is the kind of education that the Vedanta gives. How does it give? It gives vakyas like this. Idam sarvam yadayamatma. Idam sarvam yadayamatma. Yatratvasya. Sarvamatmaiva abhut. Tat kenakam pashet. Kenakam vijaniyat. Vijñātāramare. Kena vijaniyat. Ayamatma brahma. Ityadibihi. Idam sarvam yadayamatma. All that you see is yourself. It's not outside yourself. It's not other than yourself. This is the vision of the Shuddhi. In fact, this is also man's experience, if he closely looks at himself. Like, to the dreamer you can go and tell. You can enter somebody's dream. You can enter somebody's dream. Let us imagine, you can enter somebody's dream and say, hey, all that you are seeing is thyself. Because you are dreaming. All that is dreamt by you is not other than yourself. Also, a thought that you entertain is not other than the one who thinks. Why can't we say? Can the thought be independent of the thinker? Can the thought exist independent of the thinker? Think of a thought being there independent of the thinker. That means thought is non-separate from the thinker. Memory is not other than the one who remembers. The dreamt is not other than the dreamer. Similarly, the waking world which is also dreamt is not other than the dreamer, waker, the conscious being, the subject. If thought is not other than the thinker, then the whole universe is indeed. Thinker is a conscious being, thought is a creation. Therefore, if thought is really non-separate from the thinker, then the whole universe is non-separate from the drashta. The drashta. And therefore, Shruti says all this is indeed yourself. Don't think really, don't value a few objects. Don't unnecessarily think whole life thinking about this I have. Morning get up and say, यहाँ पर इतना लगाया, वहाँ पर उतना लगाया, वहाँ पर उतना लगाया, सब मिलकर इतना हुआ, उसमें से इतना हमारा ओल्ड एज के लिए हो जाएंगे. एंड ओल्ड एज पता नहीं ओल्ड एज आएगा कि नहीं आएगा, पता नहीं. ये सब सवेरे उठ के संध्या करके भगवान का नाम, भगवान से प्रार्थना करना चाहिए. If you can pray, if it is possible for a jiva to pray, you should say, pray God inspire me for understanding the truth. That should be the prayer. God, if you can really bless me with boundless inspiration to know the truth. I want to know the truth, that is the eternal, the pratyeka. Because everything else is of no use. You understand, Therefore, अगर प्रार्थना कर सकते हैं, लोग कहते हैं हम प्रार्थना करते हैं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं, they don't know. They simply say Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Swami ji मन घूमता है जब Om Namah Shivaya कहते हैं, मन घूमता. Hey, that means you are not praying. If you are praying, how can man घूमता है? It's like a child says, Mummy, whenever I sit down, for doing homework, man घूमता है. Hey, that means you are not interested. आप होमवर्क थोड़ी कर रहे हैं. जब होमवर्क करते हैं मन नहीं घूमता है, जब नहीं करते हैं तब घूमता है. When you pray to God, there is no question of घूमना. When you pray from your heart, God give me this, inspire me, create in me, free me from these illusions, free me from this maya, free me from these unnecessary ambitions, free me from these angers. Create in me inspiration for truth. May I spend my life, at least the rest of life, for truth, God. If you can bless me in this manner. That should be the prayer in the morning, rather than itna udhar lagaya, utna udhar lagaya, utna lagaya. आजकल ब्याज घट गया तो सारे फिर भी थोड़ा मिल जाएगा, फिर उससे ये करूंगा, फिर वो करूंगा, थोड़ा बेटी को दूंगा, थोड़ा बेटा तो पहले लेके रखा है, बेटा तो पहले ले रखा है, बेटी को जो बचा है उसको. ये what is all this? This is all Maya. I am telling you, this is all Maya. Maya means Maya. And therefore, says all this is yourself. It is like a dreamer trying to collect as many dream objects as possible, accumulate. Dreamer is accumulating all the objects. But actually the whole dream is non-separate from the subject. In relation to the dreamt, we call him a dreamer, otherwise it is the truth. In relation to the waking world, we are called the waker, otherwise, that's the truth, is Vaishvanara. The subject is the Vaishvanara, the truth. And therefore, here he says, Idam Sarvam, Adayamatma. These are the Vakyas the Vedanta gives. Yatratvasya Sarvamatmai Bhabut Tat Kenakam Pushvet Kenakam Vijaniyat Vijnataramare Kena Vijaniyat. When everything resolves unto oneself, then there is no other for you to see. Therefore in sleep you don't see anything. Why? Because everything has become one with you. If everything has become one with you, then there is nothing to see. There is nothing to see. And the seer cannot be objectified. Vijnataramare Kena Vijaniyat. The objectifiable is one with the objectifier, and the objectifier cannot be objectified. That is the deep sleep. It is a state of resolution of the object unto the subject. It is a state of resolution of the object unto the subject. Therefore, what is deep sleep? Subject alone minus object. Is the non-dual nature of the self. I am Atma Brahma. This self is unlimited. The subject is unlimited. Ityadibihi. So by the statements like this, the jiva is taught to think and reflect and understand himself to be Brahma Vastu, the unlimited being, the unnegatable being, the full being. In recognizing the full being, there is fulfillment. In recognizing the full being is the fulfillment. And freedom from the sense of, there is a fear of death, and the discovering that I have no death, that is fulfillment. Discovering I am not form, that is called fulfillment. Discovering that there is no incompleteness in my being. There is no incompleteness in the subject. Subject is complete. Discovering the completeness of the subject is called fulfillment. Thus the Shruti says a fulfillment lies. Fulfillment is your nature, and in discovering that fulfillment lies the fulfillment. Ityadibihi. Clear? Just another couple of minutes. Yadapi akartavya pradhanam atmajnanam hanaya upadanaya va na bhavatiti tat tathaiva iti abhyupagamyate. You know, the Purvapakshi argued before. I would like to put it in a very free style. Just we'll go into the Vakya. Get the essence. The essence is the Purvapakshis, some of the people say, hey, what is the use of knowing the self? Knowing the self as it is of no use. You have to create what is not. You have to enjoy what you create. कुछ कमाने में लाभ है, कुछ पाने में लाभ है, and enjoying what you get, लाभ. This is how human beings think. Here the Shastra says, and the real gain lies in understanding what you are. In understanding the self, you don't have to lose anything, you don't have to gain anything. There is no gaining anything in you, there is no losing also. There is only losing of ignorance. There is only losing of some confusion. Go to self. Listen. Like, when I come to know, I took it for, it happened to be a rope. And then I saw it as a snake. And then I have got fear. In fact, my blood pressure is going up because I have got some phobia about snakes. Even when I think of snake, I get fear. वो ड्रीम में भी आ जाता है. That too, वो भी cobras वगैरह. There are people who don't want to get out of the house. They're all the time afraid. Like ghost phobia. Some have ghost phobia. Some have this serpent's phobia. Some have thieves phobia. Some have flight phobia. So every time he boards the plane, he's going to crash. Now somebody comes and says, my dear, this is not snake, this is rope. You better know it. And when he comes to know the rope, actually neither he creates the rope, because the rope is already there, nor does he destroy anything. He only comes out of his confusion. Now tell me, coming out of the confusion, is it useful or not? Coming out of the confusion is useful because he is liberated from the fear. Is it not usefulness? In the same manner, in self-knowledge we don't create self, we don't create anything, we don't destroy anything, but we become free from confusion about what we are. We don't create ourselves, we don't destroy ourselves. We don't create anything, we don't destroy anything. We only become free from certain misconceptions about the self, and therefore the misconceptions-based fears, this misconceptions-based struggle, this misconception-based attachment, this misconception-based samsara comes to an end when the misconception goes. Therefore, understanding the self is indeed really useful for eternity, whereas gaining some money may look to be useful for a while, but actually it doesn't solve the problem. Therefore, gain money, have enough money. खूब कमाओ, हमको भी दो. खूब कमाओ, हमारा आशीर्वाद देंगे आपको. खूब कमाओ, लोगों को, गरीबों को भी दान दो. That is being magnanimous. But always understand, that's nothing. That's not going to deliver, that's not going to give us fulfillment. Use the creation to survive. Use the creation, khao, khilao. Use creation for that. खाने के लिए, खिलाने के लिए, use the creation. कहते हैं ना, खाओ, खिलाओ. But understand, it doesn't give you more. That is vairagyam. That is vairagyam. A person says, khao, khilao, that is life. No, that's not right. Khao, khilao. This world can't give us anything more. Khao, khilao और बैठ के वेदांत पढ़ो. Because this world cannot give us beyond survival. I would go by that word survival. Comfortable survival always what? Survival. If somebody says no, not only it gives us survival, but it also gives us comforts. That is comforts. Comforts always what? Comfortable survival. Usually survival. The one who has comfort survives, the one who has got survives. Hyderabadi palav khane wala bhi survive karta hai, dal roti khane wala bhi survive karta hai. Maybe this one has got much better health. A Hyderabadi wala will have more problems. Therefore, this world gives us only survival. I don't want to even to qualify it as comfortable survival, because comfortable survival always nothing but survival. Survival. Therefore, a person, even if he makes an estate, I tell you, he is a survivor. Understand? Because he did not achieve anything beyond survival. What did he achieve? Swamiji, we should not be mere survivors, but we should achieve something. I say, even if you achieve an estate, you are still a survivor. A man on the street is just a survivor. And Mr. Ambani, survivor. What is it? Not only he survives, but he helps many people survive. Bas, itna hai. A poor man survives, a rich man survives plus helps others survive. That is what is called khao, khilao. An industrialist survives and helps others to survive. But there is nothing beyond survival. This world can't give us anything beyond survival. It can't give us fulfillment. And for that one has to sit down, open the pages of Shruti, and it is talking about oneself, the student, and one has to look at oneself with great pleasure. That gives us the knowledge. That is what Vedanta does, and therefore, Ker Vijaniyad Ayamatma Brahma Ityadivihi. Then Yadavi Akartavya Pradhanamatma Jaram. This we will see in the next class. Arams. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Happy New Year for all Sunday class students, because tomorrow you will not be coming. Happy New Year. May New Year bring you all that is the best. Bring you a lot of happiness, a lot of peace, no terrorism, a lot of inspiration for Vedanta. May you give you the best of health. May all your parivara be happy and peaceful. Oh Bhagavan. सत्य प्रमाण के साथ बैठ के पढ़ना बड़ा Sita Bhagyavi. First day of the year. It doesn't matter at all. Which name? What is a year? It goes. Hope the new year will bring something better. May the new year bring more dharma into this world. Are you? Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. So, but he says, oh, he is only a survivor. Hey, everybody is a survivor. Indians are great survivors. Not only Indians are survivors. Americans are also at least survivors. They are all survivors. All jivas are survivors. All politicians are what? Great survivors. Namah Shivaya. Happy New Year to everybody. Survivors. हाँ ये तो बहुत ज्यादा है ठीक है great survivors. We should not merely survive. Some people say animals also survive. What is the use? We should do something. Hey, after doing something also you have only survived. Nothing great about it. In fact, animals survive quietly. Human beings survive making a lot of noise. They have to make a lot of noise to survive. Animals survive. There is something more than survival. That is Vedanta. What is the truth? That is called over and above survival. That is the very purpose of survival. Vedanta. Ravana also did what? He had Adhipatyam. He only survived, that's all. Beyond survival kya hai? Maybe he had more comforts. Yeah, with all the comforts he survived, that's all. Comforts are not over and above survival. Comforts are a part of survival. You survive. Yesterday I survived uncomfortably. Okay? Let us say. Now what is that uncomfortable survival? Is a zero today. All my uncomfortable survival till today, the whole life I was uncomfortably survival. That entire uncomfortable survival is what? Zero. Discomforts, the past discomforts right now is what? Zero. And what are the past comforts? Zero. Yeah, all the past comforts are zero now. All the past discomforts are also zero. You can't say, oh, I have lived comfortably. So what? Now, right now, they're all zero. तत्व विमर्श जो है ना शास्त्र में ठीक रहता है. The मीमांसा of the truth is done properly only in the शास्त्र. इसलिए शास्त्र को अपना गाइड मान के शास्त्र के अनुसार चलने से ठीक रहता है. One can't gloat on past comforts. And all comforts become a thing of the past. See, Comforts don't become a thing of the future, because all that is a thing of the future, also its destiny is thing of the past. What came before is a thing of the past, and what I will get in future also will be thing of the past. Zero. Destiny is zero. Shunyam. Big zero. हाँ जी, रोज आते हैं. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. God bless you. And you have any new riddles for me? Sweet. You are looking very nice, sweet. Like rose flower. No? You are looking like rose flower or jasmine flower? Rose. Okay? All the best. And give my best wishes to your sister, mummy, papa, everybody. Okay? Okay. Oh, Bhagavan. Happy New Year to everybody.